history is not just what is written in textbooks or celebrated in monuments, it is often what is hidden, what is kept in the shadows that shapes the fate of nations. Sometimes, the most important history is buried in secret memos, whispered agreements, and unmarked graves, stories that rarely see the light of day. This is the story of Operation Condor, a dark chapter of history that was never meant to be told, a story hidden behind locked doors and coded language. It was a hidden war, fought not on distant battlefields, but in the very streets and homes of ordinary people, by secret police forces against their own citizens. Operation Condor was more than a Cold War alliance, it became a multinational system of state-sponsored terror, uniting governments in a campaign of fear. It was a coordinated network designed to hunt down, kidnap, and eliminate political opponents, wherever they might be found, leaving families searching for loved ones who vanished without a trace. Borders offered no safety. Secret agents operated freely across countries, turning the entire continent into a hunting ground where no one was truly safe. The violence was organized, methodical, and chillingly bureaucratic. Every name, every disappearance, carefully recorded and filed away. Member nations, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Brazil, and Ecuador, established a central database to track targets, sharing intelligence and resources. Communications were constant, with coded messages and late-night calls ensuring that no one slipped through the cracks. They coordinated joint operations with the precision of a multinational corporation, each move calculated and deliberate. For a time, this machine of repression operated with terrifying efficiency, hidden from the eyes of the world, leaving behind scars that would take generations to heal. To understand how such a system could be created, we need to look beyond the headlines and examine the mindset of those who built it. We must look at the official story the military regimes told themselves, a narrative carefully crafted to justify their actions and reassure their supporters. In the 1970s, South America was a battleground of ideas, with leftist movements, student protests, and labor strikes challenging the traditional order and threatening the established power structures. The generals saw themselves as patriots, defenders of their nations and of Western civilization itself, standing firm against what they called Marxist chaos and the specter of communist revolution. Operation Condor was built on this shared sense of purpose, a belief that only through unity could they restore order and stability to their countries. Military leaders believed they were fighting the same enemy across borders, so intelligence sharing and coordinated action became a logical first step in their campaign. They established Condortel, a secure network designed to pass information, track political exiles, and coordinate operations in real time. The official narrative was one of cooperation and mutual defense, a brotherhood of soldiers united against subversion, working together for the greater good of the continent. Yet this story masked the darker intentions and secret operations that would soon follow, hidden from public view and shrouded in secrecy. The anti-communist crusade provided powerful justification for their actions, fueling propaganda campaigns and rallying public support for harsh measures. The United States' strong anti-communist stance created a permissive environment for these regimes, offering diplomatic support and at times material assistance. This external validation emboldened the generals, reinforcing their belief that extreme measures were not only justified but necessary to preserve their nations and their way of life. The core flaw of Operation Condor was its complete lack of oversight. It was a secret pact between secret police, accountable only to dictators. No courts or public bodies questioned their methods. The definition of subversive was left deliberately vague, giving agents freedom to escalate violence. Each country helped others eliminate enemies, creating a vicious cycle of reciprocity. The system fed on itself, growing more violent with each operation. Intelligence chiefs operated in an echo chamber, convinced of their cause and dismissing legal procedures. With no checks and balances, Condor escalated from intelligence sharing to active repression. Agents became judges, juries, and executioners, operating outside any legal framework. The more ruthless they were, the more effective they were considered. The evolution from intelligence sharing to violent operations happened quickly. Phase 1 created a shared database. Phase 2 authorized cross-border surveillance. Agents from one country could hunt exiles in another, with local support. Phase 3 was the heart of Condor: cross-border abductions and assassinations. Teams could enter another country, capture targets, and return them for torture or death. Host countries often did the dirty work for their allies. Escape became impossible. Borders offered no sanctuary. Operations were meticulously planned joint efforts. The Automotore's Orletti garage in Buenos Aires became a regional hub for torture and interrogation. Victims from across the continent were brought there, often tortured by agents from their own countries. Orletti symbolized Condor's multinational integration and erasure of sovereignty. For refugees, safety was an illusion. Condor turned borders into meaningless lines. Disappearance became institutionalized on an international scale. One of the most chilling aspects of Operation Condor was its organization. This was a highly structured bureaucratic system of state-led violence. Member states created a formal organization with headquarters, budgets, and regular meetings. The archives of terror in Paraguay revealed hundreds of thousands of pages detailing the operation. Bureaucracy normalized violence. Kidnapping and murder became routine administrative tasks. The language of memos created psychological distance from brutality. Ordinary people participated by following procedures and obeying orders. The archives showed how victims were tracked, detained, and transferred across borders. Each step was documented, creating a paper trail that would later be used as evidence. State institutions were corrupted. Police and intelligence agencies became tools of repression. Professional roles were twisted to serve political violence. This legacy left a culture of impunity and deep public distrust. For a time, the architects of Operation Condor felt invincible. Their power seemed limitless, their reach unchecked by borders or laws. Their secret network expanded beyond South America, targeting exiles in Europe and the United States. No city was too distant, no sanctuary truly safe from their grasp. The most notorious operation was the assassination of Orlando Letelier in Washington, D.C. in 1976, a brazen act that stunned the world. Letelier, a prominent critic of Pinochet and former Chilean ambassador, was killed by a car bomb planted by DNA agents and anti-Castro exiles. His death sent shockwaves through the international community. The attack was a shocking act of international terrorism on American soil, demonstrating that even the most powerful nations were not immune. It sent a chilling message. No one who opposed the regime was safe, anywhere. Exiles lived in constant fear, always looking over their shoulders. Another case was the attempted assassination of Bernardo Leighton in Rome, orchestrated by DINA and neo-fascist allies. The attack left Leighton and his wife gravely injured. These attacks showed Condor's global reach and willingness to strike in Western democracies, shattering any illusion of safety for dissidents abroad. The network had allies and operational capacity far beyond South America, relying on a web of informants, mercenaries, and sympathetic officials. The system spiraled out of control, driven by a belief in absolute power and a willingness to use violence to silence opposition. International operations exposed the audacity and danger of Condor, forcing the world to confront the reality of state-sponsored terror. The world began to take notice. Journalists, activists, and governments started to investigate and demand accountability. The myth of impunity began to crack, as the truth about Operation Condor's international crimes slowly emerged into the light. The turning point for Operation Condor was when intelligence became a direct weapon. Initially, the system was about tracking enemies, but soon, information became the basis for kidnappings, torture, and murder. Detailed files on opponents became target packages. Surveillance data turned into action plans for abductions. The assassination of Letelier in Washington was the ultimate expression of this philosophy. Condor was no longer about defense, it was about eliminating critics worldwide. Intelligence agencies became judge, jury, and executioner. The merging of roles created enormous potential for abuse. Information became a death warrant. Condor turned knowledge into a tool of extermination. For years, Operation Condor operated in the shadows, but such extreme violence could not stay secret forever. The assassination of Letelier and Moffat in Washington triggered a massive FBI investigation. Evidence exposed the DINA and its international network. Human rights activists and organizations began documenting disappearances and torture. Patterns emerged. Victims vanished across borders, revealing Condor's footprint. Reports challenged the official narrative and drew international attention. In Argentina alone, up to 30,000 people were killed or disappeared. The Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo became a global symbol of resistance. The 1992 discovery of the Archives of Terror in Paraguay provided written proof of Condor's crimes. The secret was out. International outrage paved the way for trials and a painful reckoning. The fall of the dictatorships did not end the story of Operation Condor. The system left a long, dark shadow over South America. Families of the disappeared still search for answers and justice. The operation deeply damaged democratic institutions and public trust. Rebuilding has been slow and difficult. The legacy of Condor created societal divisions over justice and reconciliation. However, exposure led to legal and social progress. Trials of former dictators set precedents in international law. Human rights groups and families built a powerful memory culture. Museums and memorials now serve as reminders of the dangers of unchecked state power. The story of Condor warns that true security requires transparency, oversight, and the rule of law.